So last time, which was yesterday, I was going through what I'd done since I started sim racing. So sim racing kind of started around the year 2000. I kind of went through. I went through the what am I trying to say? I went through starting from scratch with racing or online racing in its form way back in the year 2000, which took me all the way up until the 2006, where I kind of started a few different things. I started to expand my horizons a little, and I'm hoping I might be able to show this to you. So I have documented some of this on my website called Racing Sim Pit Stop. So if we have a look, so Racing Sim Pit Stop there. So I kind of basically went from scratch all the way where I started with sim racing, going through all the games that I used to play and all the leagues that I joined. So UK GPL was from year 2000 to 2006, and then I started doing some NASCAR racing. And then 2005 was when R Factor and all GTR and Race 07 came out and stuff like that. So what I would say was one of the heydays of sim racing in 2005, 2006. And then during that time, I started doing some what was technically sim racing esports at that time. It's obviously exploded a bit more. It's a lot easier. These are the days before you had OBS and proper switching software and stuff like that. So there was a lot of workarounds we needed to do. And I used to make intros and outro videos and build-ups and things like that. I basically was a broadcast director for one of our sim racing leagues. I then went through where I was at a point in life. I think that I generally wanted something a bit different, and it was kind of this happenstance, I think, where I came across I think it was just a news article in my local newspaper, and it says, "Do you want to try riding a speedway bike?" Didn't even know that possibility was even a thing. So in 2007, I took a chance and said, right, well, okay, I'll have a go at riding a speedway bike. And I've detailed all of where I started from, all the way from 2007, which was just one ride in 2007 on the off chance that maybe I might like this. I don't want to kind of take it any further, but I'll just have a go because I was brought up on motorcycles, as in watching motorcycle racing. Lots of speedway and grass track stuff around my local area with my dad. And I thought, well, I should try it whilst I've still got the ability to at least put one foot in front of the other, So I tried it in 2007, and I thought, oh, that wasn't too bad. I think it was a very hot day in July 2007, and it was just like, oh, I'll have a go and see what it's like. Kind of liked it, and then it kind of went to the back of my mind for about a year and a half, and then decided to have another go at the end of 2008, which was completely different conditions, because it was like, November, December in 2008, so it was wintry, it was cold. The track had to be defrosted. The track had to be defrosted on the day, which was a bit of a culture shock. And at that point, I didn't have any of my own gear or anything. I was obviously borrowing boots and gloves and helmets and stuff from the track I was hiring it from, and I thought, well, that's not too bad. And then 2009, I was like, right, okay, I've got the opportunity to practice and really go at it, because I got a real sense of achievement for doing something completely out of my comfort zone. I never thought I'd be able to ride a motorbike. I never thought. I mean, it's a bike without brakes. And with there's a lot of things to do with. I never thought that I'd be able to do it because I do have some physical disabilities as well, and I thought this was kind of completely off limits to me. But I tried. It was the sense of accomplishment of trying and failing sometimes, of course, but just giving it a go. I never thought that was going to obviously, set the timesheets alight with my riding, or I wasn't going to start going pro, because in 2007 I would have been 28 years old, if I've got the numbers right, I think. Yeah, 28. 2007 it's 2017 is 37, 38. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So I was already getting on a bit, way older than anyone does start Speedway, or even just riding a bike. The only things I'd probably ridden before that were like 50cc bikes. I can't remember if I'd done quad biking before that, or karting before that, but and that took me through to doing some amateur racing between 2011 and 2013, where I raised money for charity. So not only was I doing it for my own sense of accomplishment, I thought, well, how about I spread awareness for people that don't see doing these things as a possibility. So I used it as like a tool to inspire others, and it obviously it helped me as well to kind of maybe put it in perspective, so that I was not maybe thinking about it too much or overthinking it too much. Fundraising was my focus, and promoting it was my focus. So the fact of doing it, I could kind of maybe switch off my brain a little, and just kind of concentrate on the promotion of it. So between 2011 and 2013, I've kind of showed videos to do with that. So I'm trying to figure out how to switch tabs. Is it shift? How do you go to different tabs? I forget. Is it Control Shift 1? Alt 1? How do you... Control tab, control... Well, it says Control 1. There we go. Because I was on tab 1. That's why. So thankfully, whilst I was going through this Speedway journey, there we had like photographers that would take pictures of us doing it. So I've got a photographic record that it wasn't just my imagination. I was able to actually prove that I did it, and I did. Yes, I had long hair at that point. I was growing out my hair. I'd changed careers at that point as well. I'd been made redundant from my long-term job. Look at the sweaty mess there. I'd been made redundant from the job that I was had been in for a few years, and basically decided to train as a teacher. So I am technically a trained teacher. So these were the training days of when I'd hired a bike to ride. I was still hiring the suit and all that stuff. I'd actually invested in my own boots, gloves, and helmet and goggles and stuff. Because it was I don't like wearing someone else's shoes because you never feel comfortable in someone else's shoes. Literally, not feel comfortable in someone else's shoes. But so I would do like practice days like this where it was just me on the track, and I'd normally have my helmet camera strapped to my goggles strap there. And you could see that sometimes I'd be on a different bike on occasion. It was sometimes easier to be on the same bike so you could kind of get a feel for it. And at some points, this is 2009, I'd get to practice starts. That was sometimes one of my favourite bits because it gave you a sense of how fast these bikes were. And you were like, the shot of adrenaline was quite addictive. So right from the start, it was quite good. So in 2000 and I think at the end of 2009, I had an accident, which just gave me a bruised leg. Came off the bike in quite wet conditions, and then I came back the next year in 2010 and felt that I'd maybe progressed to the faster bikes a bit too quickly. So I came back down to the lower powered bikes, to kind of give myself a bit more knowledge of what I was attempting to do. Going back to basics, trying to build up my strength again as well. So back onto a 125. This was kind of a well-timed picture of when I think my foot got caught in the dirt and I nearly felt like I was just about to go over the handlebars. But I didn't, but it felt like I was just about to. I wasn't quick by any means on these things. There was people that would run rings around me, but still it kind of gave me a good sense of getting back to basics. And then after a few sessions of that in the summertime of 2010, I decided to get back on the main track, and I'd obviously started to get invested in all of my own gear. So everything that I'm wearing is mine now. The only thing that I don't own is the bike, and that was hired on the day. So learning to get the back wheel to spin, my bum should actually be a bit further forward and my head should be over the handlebars there. But so it and also the pictures just being like a snapshot of what I was doing can sometimes make me look a bit better than I actually was. So I tended to invest in new helmets as well. So I had one with a big dark visor on, so you can't see me, but that is me. So sometimes it was dry, sometimes it's a bit soggy. But you see, I'm now getting the back wheel to slide, and this is pretty much the entry of the turn here. And I sometimes maybe preferred it to be not dry, not wet, because wet, it would obviously mean the bike would slide, but if you don't get the back wheel spinning, you would kind of the mud would be, or the surface of the track would be very sticky, which would be even harder. So you need a bit more oomph. And if it was completely dry, I'd feel sometimes all of the shale wasn't exactly spread over the entire track, so it was concrete. So I was quite scared of opening the throttle on what was just concrete. So pictures like this, and you kind of look, well, look how well I'm sliding this, but I'll imagine that I slid it into the turn, but it probably didn't look as good coming out of it, and I probably wasn't going very fast either. But the photos make me look good. Make me look like I'm doing it right. So I look like a proper speedway rider, you know? And it was it boosted my confidence a bit. I was able to borrow someone else's bike on that day. So getting the leaning it over so that it was the side of the tyre that was in contact with the track, so breaking traction. And I mean, I would always kind of post on social media and upload videos of all the footage, because at that point I've got like the camera on top of my helmet there. It's actually stuck on top, but I think I'd accidentally pointed it towards the visor. So the footage for that for when I had it mounted here, it just kind of pointed down to the track because there was no way of seeing what angle it was. So that footage isn't great. So you can see that it really is just pointed down to the track. I should have actually pointed it forwards, but hindsight's the greatest thing. So this is all 2010. So sunny, wintry. So you see that I'm trying to get my body up to the handlebars. There's lots of strain on the right leg, so you're trying to straighten that right leg. And I actually find, although to a more extent now, because I've got problems with my back, trying to put all my weight on one leg is very, very difficult because I don't have a lot of core strength. So I never really showed the aftermath of what I did. It was always like I was giving the message in my videos, right? You can do this. You may have limitations, but you can do this. So it was. I think it was probably very rare. I may have posted on Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that how I was feeling after an event, because it would take quite a while to get back to what was my baseline ability level, or just physical level, without. Because you ended up using muscles that you didn't know you had muscles. It was very very, very painful. And I think at that point I was probably working at the same time, which I don't know if it was a hindrance or not. So there probably was a few days that I went into work and I was feeling absolutely crap, but there was I had focus on my students at that point. So 2011, I'd kind of got to the point in 2010 that the hire bike usage, I was kind of limited by it. So I thought, okay, let's take the plunge and actually invest in my own machinery. I had the opportunity to buy a bike. You can see, I don't know if you can kind of guess what part of the UK this maybe came from. Welsh. It's so I was able to. There's a person that I had known from some of the practice sessions that was selling a bike that had come down from Wales, and I bought this machine, and it was all mine. I mean, the paint scheme wasn't really my thing, but that soon changed. So we're now in 2011. So there's me. So I did have long hair, but now I'm actually losing my hair. But again, I had pictures which made me look like I was, doing good. But I mean, this in motion might have not been the same as like a proper speedway slide. So this is when I'd been able to get new covers, and I was going to be changing the mud guards and stuff. And this is me warming up the bike for probably what was an event. So this was June 2011. So you can see that I had my camera mounted on my goggle strap, and I had my helmet colours. So I was probably taking part in a race at that point. So yeah, I bought the front as well, because this is actually the Forks cover. It's the Sittingbourne Crusaders that used to race down at the track that I'm racing at here. So this is Iwade, and I was able to find like a Forks cover which was kind of like a replica of what they used to ride back in 2006, something like that. I thought that was kind of cool. So here's me coming off the start in one of my first races. This was June. So the people that I'm racing against, some of them are people that have only just started. I mean, the two to my right, these people are half my age, at least, probably in their early 20s. And then you got a guy that's probably maybe 10 years my senior. So the mixture of ages in amateur speedway, and I mean, you certainly forget about everything once you're on the line with three other maniacs. You kind of have to focus on that and not so much overthinking what you're doing, which I found kind of interesting. So I've still got the older mud guards on there. So that must have been a practice day. That's in July. So I've now got black mud guards. So getting it wide open. And again, one of the meetings. Making me look cool. So I'm wearing my what was it, my Dragons bib, because that's what we were a part of, the Dragons Amateur Speedway Club. I've still got this actually. It's got my I don't know if we can see it on the back. Not at that point. I did actually get a personalised one. It'll probably appear in different pictures, but this is I borrowed this bib. So you see that the other bibs have actually got people's names on. So later on, I got my own. So this was one of the only times I went to a, look at that dirty arse. This was one of, I think, twice. I went down to a circuit called Lyd, which was next to Lyd Airfield. A tiny circuit in comparison to where I had been riding. So at this point in time, I think I'd only ridden at one circuit. I'd only had experience of one circuit. So it was a way to kind of, I would say, like, not think out of the box, but more get experience of driving around a different track and different technique, because you needed to really turn the bike to get around this track. It was a lot shorter. It was banked. It was a bit tighter, so you had to, use a different technique. So that's me trying to practice start. I've actually got footage of me at this practice day, and it pissed it down halfway through. And this looks good here, but what you'll see is that leg there is not in the right position. And the back is coming round, and my foot is far too close to the inside of the bike. So if the bike slides anymore, I'm going down, and I'm probably landing on that leg. it should actually be a bit further out. So I'm kind of glad that someone actually got the slideshow of this. So it looks cool here, but then suddenly the back wheel grips, and it scared me a little. So I straightened up and I was like, whoa, horsey. Whoa, horsey. So that was good, just to get to another circuit and try out a different riding technique. So I think this is probably the same one. So it was dry, it was wet. So all kinds of different techniques for a different track entirely. So here's some more racing due September 2011. After a little bit of an accident in 2011, where I flipped off the back of the bike, someone lent me their bike for the restart, and I mean that hurt. I pulled. I think I actually still have problems with my legs today, because I landed on my knees, and I've probably got a picture of it somewhere. I actually landed on my knees and pulled all of the muscles around my kneecap, because I kind of, if you can think about it, if you land on your knees but your head goes backwards, so I came off the bike but landed on my knees but continue to land on my back, so my knees completely bent underneath myself and it pulled all the muscles in both my knees, so it wasn't good at all. So you can see that it's going, gone. So you see that I'm still holding on to the bike. I should have let go at this point. This guy here is probably thinking, I hope he's not coming over here. So yeah. So I'm basically doing like a slide on my knees here. So once I'd kind of landed on my knees and pulled my knees, I thankfully just kind of rolled over to my side. But that hurt. That really did hurt. But here's me taking the restart, feeling, I mean, adrenaline is the best thing. It covers a lot of pain. Let's just put it that way. I was very, very stiff. My body was starting to lock up a bit here. So and getting on completely different machinery after you'd had what was the shock of your life coming off the bike, because it happened so quickly. It was like, first I was kind of revving. I think I showed it in my highlights video, and it was just a pity as well. I had it on like camera. I had someone filming from the sideline, so I had it actually in motion on footage. But I didn't have my helmet camera on, and I was gutted because that would have been great footage. But it was just like you raring to go, and I'm guessing I was just too far back, so the back wheel gripped too much. So I was revving, and then I didn't notice that the front wheel was coming up, and as soon as it had come up, it had gone, and I was off the back, and I went backwards. I think I did bang the back of my head as well, but got up and did the restart. Actually leading somebody. Who'd have thought it? First outing to Kings Lynn at the end of 2011. I think it was probably one of my best meetings, because I was able to, as I say, I wasn't, lighting up the timesheets by any means. But it was the first time I went to a completely different track, which was a bit more open. The bends were a bit different. Again, needed a different technique. But I won my first heat. at that meeting. And again, nearly flipped it. Up we go. So this is me on the way to my heat win. And I suppose it was very lucky, really, because the guy over here had only just started riding, and I think his team was like one man short, so he had to make some of the numbers. So at this point, this is probably his 7th ride or something. So he's absolutely exhausted. I look very calm, don't I? I'm just like, oh, what are you doing over there? But that's me crossing the line for the first time, winning a heat. So I've got my fist in the air there. So that's our team. That's the winning team on the day. A couple of those riders have gone on to do amateur semi-pro, pro Speedway. A lot of the other riders, I think, have continued doing amateur Speedway. So that's me in my fundraising t-shirt. A Scoliosis Campaign Fund t-shirt, and here's me receiving my Rider of the Day trophy. So I was quite proud of that, and I've still got that cup. It's sitting over on my my shelf. So buzzing, absolutely buzzing. So at the end of 2011. I invested in another bike, and this bike was a completely different engine type. I mean, it was a bit of a stupid investment, really, because I really needed to buy another bike which had a same kind of engine, so it would have the same kind of power delivery and stuff like that. Had a different fairing on it, so it did come actually with a solid fairing, but I'm using like a vinyl fairing here, but the swooping back end is a little bit different. I thought that was very cool. So here's me on my different bike. So learning to ride another different piece of machinery, and I was able to find that this front fork cover as well. I just thought this was quite funny, so I bought that. Sponsor required. So that's me loading up on my fluids and my electrolytes on a meeting. I was able to have I wouldn't say a couple of sponsors, but I tended to put a couple of logos on my bike of people that have supported me. So here's me. I've got my reflective goggles now. Can't see my eyeballs. Got my clutch in. Again, pictures make me look a bit better than I actually was. So wearing like we would race for different teams, and I mean there were teams that were made up of. I guess they tried to group people together in similar skill levels. We would have like a support, intermediate, and advanced level. I was in the support class, but the teams you would be with different members of the club each time. So it depended. So I don't know if this is like the Wyvern Dragons team. And that's me chasing Adrian Harden. I was going for double points at that point. I think that's the meeting where I showed on the stream that I was chasing Adrian Harden, but I couldn't quite get him. But I did get double points. So, and there's me looking absolutely sweaty and pooped. Another meeting, another different bib. So that's when we had. So that was basically what was called a Frittenden team and a Sitborn team. Me doing a bit of catch up. This is Chris Shallcross getting it a little bit wrong. I think he got a little bit of grip, and the bike went forwards rather than sideways. Here's me making it look like I know what I'm doing by doing all the leaning. It wasn't doing an awful lot. I mean, the theory behind it was that you would lean the bike over to lessen the grip being on the side of the tyre, and if you felt like you were sliding too much, you could stand the bike up to grip a bit more. So yeah, leaning the bike over like that's the way to do it. That's me getting it all wrong, so it looks like I'm mid-slide and the bike has just gripped up when I didn't want it to. I'm now looking like a right mysterious rider with face mark, because I mean, if you had your face uncovered, you would get lots of shale and stones getting thrown at you. So yeah, so this is now 2012. So we're in the pictures that around 2012. So I'd already competed in 1 year of amateur speedway. So this was my second year of amateur speedway in 2012 in October. And this was the last race of the season in 2012. Fun fact: you see that I'm wearing different equipment. You also see that I got it a little wrong on the start. I'm going sideways rather than forwards. So this was, I think, the second time that I'd been under the lights, but this particular meeting was up at a place called Kings Lynn, which is a track that the pros will ride on. So Kings Lynn in Norfolk, around the Midlands, around the halfway up halfway up England. So you'll notice that I'm wearing different clothes. At this point, I think I'd got a lift with some friends that were going to the same meeting, and when I got there, I had my bike. That's my bike. I had my helmet. I had my gloves and my boots, I think. But I didn't have my kit. They had accidentally left or not packed my suitcase. So I had to find some spares. So I'm not wearing my own kit in this race. In the thick of it. It took a while to clean this bike. It got very, very muddy. And being under the lights as well made it look a little bit different. So that was November in 2012. Very wintry and very wet. But then we were at the same circuit back there next year in what would be my last year racing. So this is June the 16th, 2013. So one of my favourite pictures there. It makes me look like I really know what I'm doing, but it's a good snap, that one. I've actually got my foot up there, so I'm actually sliding out the corner with my foot up, which is kind of cool. And I'm really leaning the bike over and getting the throttle open. And then back down south to my local circuit. So I think at this point I probably have my customized bib there. And this is probably when I was doing that practice day. So I showed this video yesterday of when I was getting some track tuition. So we were doing what's called starts and first turns. So I was open the throttle like you would at the start and getting the back wheel spinning, and then leaning the bike over and trying to keep the slide all the way through the turn. So this is a snap of when I did that, but it straightened up, and the shock on my face, it's like it's a bit like, oh my god, I've never spun spun the wheel that fast. So but there's me getting it wide open and trying to keep the power on. So you got to keep that elbow up, because if you keep it like that, then you've not got a lot of flexibility. You can't really turn the handlebars very well. So if you keep it up, you've got more freedom to move the handlebars. So again, getting it makes me look really, really good. I like these photos. So this is probably one of my favourite photos. And I mean, the my throttle hand is actually, it does look like I'm off the throttle. But this is when I actually did keep it wide open all the way through one of the turns. So you can probably see like the concentration on my face, because you do not want to lose focus coming around that turn with the throttle open. And I mean, it was the fastest I'd ever been, or the fastest, or the highest that I'd had the throttle, and the bike in general, it would make a certain sound when you were just kind of pottering around, or just what I felt was my normal pace. But as soon as you have the throttle open past a certain point, the whole bike will resonate, and it will kind of start to sing in a way. It will start to hum. So everything will start resonating at a certain speed, or a certain throttle position. So that was always very interesting. So probably not a lot of pictures from 2013. So here's me doing some more competing. I'm ahead of 2 people here. That's unheard of. There's me racing an ex-pro here. That's probably 20 years my senior. There's me on a winning team there. And again, that's probably one of my favourite photos. I was able to pose. I now have no hair. It's kind of similar to what I look like now. But this was 2013, so I would have been 34. And again, it's a picture from one of my favourite meetings, actually. I think it was close to either the penultimate or the last one I ever did, and it does contain one of my favourite pictures, which I've actually got the background of one of my email accounts. But yeah. So what I've got is let's have a look. Number 4. No, number 3. So I want to show where it is. Where is it? So I watched that one specifically. That was when I did practice. So it would be very rare, because obviously I was doing this for myself, basically. It would be very rare that my mum and dad would come to visit and watch me race. And I think on this particular meeting, everyone came along, which was kind of made me feel good. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, we'll show you this one. So I think this is like what would have been like an aggregate score team event, I think. Events of the year, the annual Credit Crunch, sponsored by the MTD Group. Normally this event would run over 2 meetings with aggregate scores being added up at the end. Due to scheduled conflicts, there was only 1 meeting this year, so the winners will be decided on the day. Event rules: 3 classes. I was competing in the sport class, sport, intermediate and club class, each having 2 teams, 7 riders each rider in 5 rides, nominated readers at the end of the event for the last heat. After a successful training session at the end of June, I was really looking forward to doing well at this event. There were many riders I hadn't raced with for a while, along with the nervous newcomers entering their first ever meeting. Nerves were jangling as usual. A hot day. How did I do? Let's see, shall we? So we get to do like a presentation. It was all kind of very embarrassing. You would kind of go to the centre green and have your picture taken and get introduced over the tannoy, and it just, I don't know, it felt embarrassing because all the focus is on me at that point, you know. So that's the teams there. So I'm in the set lighting team rather than the Wyvern Dragons team. So that's why this one's a bit longer than usual. So here we go, race 1. So I don't know if I can spot my parents in the crowd there or not. So I never really liked being on the outside gate, but I mean, you could see everything that went on in front of you. If you didn't get a good start, you could see all the bikes come up the inside. So I was always kind of a bit timid at the start. There was a lot more confident people at the start. But I did still have like people that were kind of around about my level to still have a bit of a tussle with. I was hoping to go up the inside then, but couldn't quite make it. So getting it wide open there and leaning back a bit to get a bit more grip. Get up the inside. That's 1 point for me. Last lap. Now, do I? So I'm actually getting the throttle open quite early as well. So I was able to get, that's 1 point. And I think my teammate there got second place, so that's a 3-all. So that was cool. I think he just said well done. So again, I had a mechanic that day.
Oh man. I was following Rob, and then you came out the inside and I was like, okay, I'm going to follow you, but you stopped it just as I exited the bend. I was like, oh, shut up.
So I was just explaining that the bike, when he came out of the corner, his bike just seemed to come to a halt on the apex. Race 2! I was never really good at race starts. Or never really good at clutch starts. I always felt a bit nervous releasing the clutch around lots of people. So on the outside again. Go me. So my teammate's the white helmet there. That's my photographer. I wonder if that picture actually came out or not. I don't know. So you'll probably see. I mean, I know it says green helmet there, but it's supposed to be. He's wearing a white one. Again, not able to get a good start, but up the inside we go, feeling a bit more confident. So teammates in the lead, I just need to chase down this guy. So I made it really hard for myself because I basically would drop back, but look, you can see how kind of feisty I am. And you really got to be, can't be half-hearted. It's kind of like sim racing in some respects. You really got to, if you're going to go up the inside, just go up the inside, you know? Can't make a half attempt. You got to kind of make it clear to the person in front of you that I'm here. So this is going to be a heat win because my teammate is in the lead. Whoa. Open the throttle, got scared, close the throttle again. So my teammate is way out in front here. So whoop, that should be a 5. Well, I think we're the away team actually, so a 1-5. To work for that second place, yeah. I mean, it would have been better if I'd actually got to the first turn in second place, but so I'm doing well this meeting. It's doing good. There's my mechanic holding everyone up at the pit gate.
I know I can keep it pinned on the outside now. I was like, he's on the inside. Let's give it some. Well, I've got to wait.
So once you got the confidence, you can really push. But if you're timid, it seems like the bike knows it, you know. So.
For some reason it all goes a bit wrong. Waggling all over the place. Now, I'm having to work so hard to do it. I wish I could just get out the gate. Yeah. But still, the watching around me is like, too nervous.
Yeah, so that's me commenting on how I'm just losing it all on the start. Like if I didn't lose it all on the start, I would be in a better position. So I think that's 2 second places. So you don't want your steel shoe to be loose. Because if that comes off, you can't put your foot down. Right, so we go from the outside gate all the way to the inside gate. So I don't know why I'm being so choosy, to be honest. So my teammate is in yellow. He was the guy that I was in the heat with last time. So this is going to be a completely different affair, being on the inside. But again, you can see everyone. So I got away from the gate in about 3rd place. So I needed to be a bit more confident there. And I think I tended to kind of go to the outside of the turn. I'd basically lose a lot of momentum. I mean, I should be kind of going mid-turn and leaning the bike over, but like that. But it was sometimes a bit scary that you didn't know. I didn't particularly know where I was going to apex the corner, because I sometimes didn't feel as confident. Once I got it to slide and steering the bike, sometimes I would feel like I wasn't very confident with. So I'm actually in 3rd this time. So again, good points. I think it's probably going to be a 3-all, because I think my teammate is in the lead. Is it another 3-all? No. 4-2, so he must have won that one. So he got 3 points, I got 1 point. So yeah, so quite a good meeting so far. I think I've got a couple of 2nd places and 3rd places.
No stopping you, is there? Left in your wake.
And it was always very difficult. Obviously, because I had problems with my back, walking on a steel shoe was always very uncomfortable, because you were kind of a bit lopsided, and it was probably the worst thing, because it coming down on a hard left foot. So I think I can probably see my parents over there now. I got a little wave. So very proud that they come to watch me on the stage. So is this my 4th ride? This is my 4th ride. So I'm probably running out of puff, if not already. It's a hot day. So Lee Harris is going for double points because their team is behind. So they've nominated Lee Harris to go for double points. So on gate 2 for once, and I still can't get away. Just not confident. And double points man, his chain has come off. So I think that's my teammate ahead at the moment. So we've got a bit of ground to catch up to get to the guy in front. I think probably let off the throttle a little when I noticed that guy was slowing down, because I didn't know if he was slipping off the... I don't know if that is my teammate ahead. So that. So yeah, you can see that I'm probably being a bit more lazy on the throttle now. It's harder to hold the bike. Because once you open the throttle, you've got to have the strength to keep hold of the thing. And it's very it looks like I'm running out of puff, really. So I think we got a second and a third there. So we drew that heat. So that was kind of cool. Whew. It's exhausting just watching this, to be honest. Fade to black. 5th race of the day. Thankfully it's the last one. It did look like I was running out of energy. So that's one of the track... I thought I'd put that little aside in there. That's Paul Heller, ex-I-Weight Colts rider, and that's Dennis Cairns, ex-pro rider. I think he used to race for Lakeside Hammers, actually. Track's just been watered for the last heat, so it's going to be a bit sticky and a bit hard to... So I'm having a bit of a track inspection. Looks like there's a bit of a wet line up the back straight. So a couple of people are having trouble getting their bike started, so I went around the track. And I'm still the first to the line. Alright, so my teammate is actually Dennis Cairns this time. So Dennis is an ex-pro rider. He's actually running, probably racing a 2-valve or a 4-valve old upright machine against all of us on modern machinery. So this is the first time in being the third gate. So a bit more confident out of the gate, but so did I get up the inside of Dennis here? So trying to chase this guy that's been on the... I think this was the guy that his chain came off last race. I mean, I'm really chasing as well. But, I mean, I can go faster. I was way faster at the start of the meeting, and you can see it's just the whole day has sapped my strength. And I mean, I'm using some of my sim racing skills with, you know, thinking that you can do a cutback and stuff like that. It's just keeping the momentum up, and obviously sim racing, it's more, you're not solely based on strength. It's more a mind thing. But with this, when your body says no, you can't do anything but kind of agree with it. But yeah, after 5 rides, I'd pretty much, my body was kind of saying, well, you know, it had enough. It couldn't hold the bike, and if it can't hold the bike, then you're a bit stuck. So that was my pit man for the day. That's Jeff. And it's obviously been a while since this video came out, so his young boy there is probably a young man by now, because this is back in 2010, 2013. So I don't know if I actually won in this meeting or not. I assume we did.
Big thanks to the guys up in the box, did a fantastic job today. Nothing too controversial, which was good. There was no fights in the pits, and there wasn't anything down there, that wasn't any problem. Everything good on the track. So the guys out on the track, the guys at the start, massive thanks to them. Again, we couldn't do it without you, so massive really thanks.
So that's Russ Payne, the organiser of the Dragons Amateur Speedway.
Challenge, a 20-point overall win for the set line. No, sorry, for my set lighting team. Come and get your medals, guys. Dennis Cairns, 10 and 3 bonus.
So it is our team that won, I think. So after this kind of exhausting day, you've then got to try and get up on the podium. So this is actually a picture I think I showed in the pictures. So 6 plus 4. That's not too bad. Can't remember what the plus. I can't remember what the plus was about. Fortunately, that girl's got her flies open. Yeah, so trying to get back on the podium with once you'd had an exhausting day, it's just like. So it's all cool. I've still got all these medals and stuff.
He don't need it, does he? Your set lighting team, well done.
Nice bit of slow-mo. You always like a bit of slow-mo. One of my passing moves of the race. Lean back. I don't know whether the lean back actually got any traction or not, but it made me feel like I did. Open the throttle. Got scared. Closed the throttle. See, that's I think when it was actually the next turn. Again, that's me leaning back to try and get a bit more traction. I don't really know if it actually did anything, but it made me feel like I was grabbing a bit more traction So yeah, good fun indeed. Alright, let's where are we? Right, so that was kind of like a poignant meeting for me because I think it was one of the only times when my whole family came to watch. I think like my sister and brother-in-law and niece did come to watch another time, but this was when actually my whole family came to watch. So and I think my mum didn't want to come watch because it was kind of a bit scary for her to watch her son, ride a bike with no brakes. So yeah, it was very, very rare, but I really appreciated them coming along and giving me some support. So it wasn't often that I would, I was going to say ride for a different team. It wasn't technically a different team. It was more the club that I was riding for. So normally I've been riding for the Dragons Amateur Speedway Club. But it would be very rare that there'd be another club that would come down to my local circuit. But I joined what was a Southern Track Riders, which was another type of club, an amateur speedway club. So they had a meeting that took place at my local circuit. So they celebrated their 20th anniversary. So I took part in one of the events. And I've got a picture from this event, which I think is probably my favourite picture that I've ever captured, because it captures a moment in the meeting, and you will see it, a moment in the meeting which was particularly special to me. But it just captures a moment in time, and it obviously makes me look good in the picture as well. So this is a meeting with the Southern Track Riders 20th anniversary event. So this is I suppose my penultimate event actually that I ever took part in, I think, in 2013. So let's check this one out. So another team riding event. So I would be racing against people that were generally the same. It's not necessarily the same. Just because it's a different club doesn't mean it's not going to be the same people we're racing against. So some familiar faces, but then some unfamiliar faces. And again, a lot of people were generally older than me. There's a lot of people that were ex-riders that were now just taking part in amateur stuff. So they were still, but they were kind of in the class above me. But yeah, so it was a bit murky that day. Sometimes a bit better if it was not hot, so your energy wouldn't be sapped, I'd normally be on the fruit and the electrolytes because I didn't like to eat a lot when I was doing this stuff. I didn't like a full stomach, so I'd really keep it light. So I think again this is a team event. So I'd raced some of these rides before. Not all of them. So actually this is, it looks like it's a single event, I think, maybe? I don't see any teams on the standings there. Wait for the green light and then... Now, if in sim racing terms, I felt that I'd be a bit squeezed there. So the guy ahead I know I'd beaten before, so I was quite confident that I could get around him. Going around the outside this time, which is very unheard of. And I'd raced the guy ahead before, but he had generally always beaten me, but first race of the day, that's... And again, it looks like I'm losing just too much speed coming into the turn, because you slow down, the back wheel stops spinning, and you've got to do the whole job of getting the back wheel spinning again, making it harder work than it needs to be. But it was very very difficult to have the confidence to open the throttle when you're technically supposed to be slowing down, you know, or but I made a mistake there, just the bike straightened up and I couldn't gather it all together and unfortunately let that place go. So that's 1 point for me. Bit disappointing, but what can you do? There's my pit man for the day. That's Jeff. Not hanging about with any of the race footage. Straight out for the next one. So now in the third gate. So I don't really like being in the centre of the grid. So I normally like to be up at the start gate early, so I can kind of, you know, get prepped. And obviously and you normally lean the bike over so you don't have to hold the clutch in. Just let the back wheel spin. So a couple of these riders are ex-pros. I don't know if they're riding modern machinery or not. You'll know by the sound. A bit squeezed there. It sometimes helps knowing what riders you're riding against, because you can generally kind of say, well, I know I can beat this one on a good day. So I think when I came into the turns too tight, I got a bit nervous about opening throttle. That my worst case scenario was the bike was straighten up and I'd end up going into the guy. That was what I was always afraid of, if the bike didn't slide. So I was always like, oh, you know. So this could be another third place on the cards. I mean, left myself far too much to do late on in the race. This is only race 2 of the meeting as well. Too much catching up to do. Another third place. Nothing if not consistent. So know why that footage was there. But it was. As I say, I didn't feel like I had my clutch control wasn't the best, so I always felt a bit nervous being surrounded by a lot of people when I had to kind of do a clutch start. Because you don't just dump the clutch, you've really got to feed in the clutch. I was always a bit nervous of my clutch control because, you know, what if I accidentally let go of the clutch lever too soon or too much, or, you know, what if I overthink this? That's what it's like. So right on the outside this time. So you know that you really have to get a good start to get over the top of all the three guys on the inside. Or do a cutback. I mean, I can look at this footage now and keep saying to myself, just open the throttle, just open the throttle. What's the harm in it, you know? So I was able to be a bit more confident there with opening the throttle. Ah, back to third place. I think what I found was as well, once you had, you really need to kind of keep on top of race fitness or like muscle memory, because it was like, as I said in like the intro, 2 months away from being on the bike, you really felt like you'd lost something. So yeah, that was always part of it as well. But you can kind of look at the footage and go, I should have done this, I should have done that. But I know for a fact that when you're on the bike, you feel completely different. I mean, I was in the mix there for the top three. That's another third place. So, consistency. But you've obviously got to make like split. You've got to make split decisions. A bloody second place. I didn't get the footage of it. Damn it! That's a shame. So it would have been my fourth race of the day, and it was my second place. So that's a bit annoying. It's that was Billy. That was.
To be fair, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I think we were kind of trying to guess where you were going to go, and I was kind of guessing where Kieran was going. I was a bit all over the place. That was good, yeah, it's a good race. Panicking. Did we make you nervous then, Billy? Yeah, I was nervous. That's good though.
Oh, it's a race 5 of the day. So we got a third, a third, a third, and a second. So last race of the day. So Kev Holloway, Dwayne Wurzberger, and Carl Bainbridge. So I'm racing against one person that I'd raced before, the other two are a bit unknown. So. Right, away from the gate. I'm leading. What's happened? What's going on? Got Carl coming in the outside here. So last race of the day, I'm absolutely pooped. I'm leading a heat. And I remember I said that you had to ask a lot from your body, and it depends whether it says yes or no. And at this point, the 5th race of the day, I think it was really saying you've done enough. So I was really hurting. Really hurting. It was hard enough just to kind of keep going. Yeah, so I couldn't hold myself upright at the end of that. But a second place, a third, a second and a second. Not too bad. But there is a picture I want to show you from that race. So you obviously you saw in the first lap. I don't know what I said. I don't know if he could have heard me either. But the first lap when I was leading, you probably noticed that when I came into the turn there was a slight jolt. So I don't think I got more than a second. I bleeped it.
Suddenly we go out on a motocross track. I've been finding every single day. Do you think it's been smooth up to now? You've been lucky. Yes, I have been lucky because I think coming into out of the box turn, I launched. I felt like both wheels left the ground. Yeah, I know. It really is bumpy. I find it hard around the first 2 bends and the third and fourth. I'm the opposite. I'm scared of that bend. Yeah, there's a bit of launch pad coming out of the bend, isn't there? Because of all the ruts from the start line, but there was an extra one which just made me go, my stomach went light. But that was ace. But I opened the throttle and I thought, I'm just going to hold it back. No, it just kept getting away from me. I was just thinking, he's just about on the outside of you. Then you
There it is, look.
I'm just thinking.
So I opened the throttle coming into the turn and he was trying to get over the top of me. So the jolt you heard was I'd accidentally nearly taken his leg away. Well, not on purpose, obviously. And obviously he had a lot more momentum coming into the turn, and I had it, I had it fully sideways, and he was coming over the top. And I think that's what the jolt was. I mean, it didn't make my bike stand up, but he did well to get over the top of me into the turn. I think he was either an ex-pro or he'd had a way more experience of Speedway than I had. But I just didn't have the speed to catch up.
He's behind me and he's just going, bloody hell, just let me through. It's the first time I've led a heat, so I'm like, what? It was stick. I think it was when you came around the outside up the straight, I was like, shit, it's drifting. I thought, shit, don't hit it. We haven't got finals. It's just Group C that's got finals, so we only have 5 rides. We'll see, there's no Group A finals. They just do it on points.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad there wasn't any more races because my body was fucked.
I'm kind of glad. If I'd known that, I'd have wheeled it over the finish line. Did you want to do a victory lap? I wouldn't have the strength, I'd have to kind of do it on foot. Oh, dear.
But yeah. So I led a heat, but my body just could not hold me upright for that last point. Plus 10? Plus 10? Don't you mean plus 1? I don't know what the bonus point was for. I don't know what the bonus points were for. Plus 10, honestly. Although, no, I suppose that actually it's probably, I think there was like a handicap for this event. So you got bonus points for being a handicap. So as I say, it's one of my favourite pictures from the event was me leading and the guy trying to get around the outside, me nearly sweeping his leg. So that's one of my favourite pictures I've got in my collection. As I say, it's actually the background to my email account. So that's kind of cool. I don't know if there's anything at the end. So that's the last heat. So that's my penultimate meeting, penultimate race event I ever did. So I'll take you through the last one I ever did. So that was kind of cool. So that was the first time I think I'd raced. Oh, I forgot. There's a little aside at the end. I forgot this bit. Special features.
This is the time I should talk to cameras, isn't it? Have a few words with it. I'm exhausted.
Yeah. I was never really that confident when I was documenting stuff to actually do proper, proper like talking to camera stuff. It was always, I always sometimes preferred, sometimes, that's a contradiction, isn't it? It was always better to, what I'm trying to say, it was always better to have the outward footage because I'm not kind of too confident on camera at all. But this is my last ever event of 2013. Well, in effect, this is my last ever event, and I called it the Last Hurrah. So this is actually the footage, some of the footage I used for the slow-mo at the end of my review video, because it just seemed fitting. Because I got to, in my last racing heat, I got to race with one of my buddies. Now, I can't remember at this point. All season had led up to this point, the only championship event of the season for the support and intermediates. I really wanted to do well at this event, take home Sophie. The riders entered were going to be tougher to beat. I wasn't to know at the time, but this would be my last Speedway event in 2013. Well, did I say that at the end? I wasn't to know at the time, but this would be my last Speedway event in 2013. As always, I put everything into it in the hope of a good result. Three classes: sport, intermediate, club. I was competing in the sport class for the championship. 15 riders in the sport class, with a few riders being ineligible for championship points due to the number of events in 2013. Normal Speedway rules applied. It was rare for me to compete in events with such quick succession. I had only ridden a week ago and I was worried if I could do it. Even though it was October and weather had been terrible on the lead up to the event, the track was prepared superbly. I sipped my energy drink, took on some water, ate some fruit to keep me going. How did I get on? So we had a dragon clutch, I think. So we tried to get it fixed just before the first. So I don't know if this is when I had the slipping clutch, or, but we'll see. No, I didn't have a slipping clutch. So I think it was during warm-up that I noticed that the clutch maybe wasn't biting, or maybe it was binding. So it's quite sunny for an October day. So a couple of laps of practice. And I think, because obviously the goggle camera can kind of vary where on your helmet it would sit.
That wasn't too bad. It went off pretty well.
I mean, it would just depend. Sometimes I would get it at the right angle, sometimes I wouldn't.
And I thought, and I was tempted to keep it on, but then I looked. That big white patch stands out in the middle of nowhere, and you're definitely going to spot it.
So race 1. I don't know if it said this was the single event or team event. 2 people on the starting grid. So Tim Mount, who is a grass track rider, I knew that I would have a hell of a job trying to catch up with Tim, because Tim is a very good rider. So, second place at minimum here. So I don't know why Tim is in my... Oh, Tim wasn't actually going for points in this heat, so this was technically a win. 2 people on track. I was the only person that's going to score points, so I was going to get 3 points out of this. Bonus. Seems a bit cheap. A bit of a cheap way to get a win, but a win's a win, I suppose. I don't know if it was because it was lacking numbers, or the fact that the number of heats just left this one kind of surplus. But obviously you didn't want to risk anything in the first heat where there's not really much on the line, considering that you're going to get the same score or whatever, as long as you didn't blow an engine or come off or what. A win! But it's not much to... But, yeah, the easiest 3 points I'm ever going to get. So, I'll take it. I will take it.
Hope it stays like that. So good. Is it nice? Yeah. The white patch didn't appear. I think I went over it. I was quite confused because only 2 of us came up to the line, and the green light was already on before they did, before they set us. So I didn't know when to look at the tapes. Yeah. They got some new boat doing it up there. Sorry? They got some other boat doing it up there today.
Right, so hopefully more people on the line this time. Oh, 3 people on the line. So I got to know these 2 guys quite well over the past few years of riding with them. Both, I think, they were older than me, which is always a little bit depressing, but what can you do? What can you do? So it looks like my clutch was dragging a little bit there. Again, leaving myself far too much to do, but you can do the cutback if you've got enough speed, but not quite. But leaving myself far too much to do. Oh look, that's what the caption said. But I'm going to get at least 1 point for this, but I would prefer to at least spin kind of a bit further up. But the courage, it was all about kind of mind over matter, really. So the courage to actually open the throttle and keep it open for when everything is screaming and you saying slow down, you're going too fast. Because you know you don't have the backup for... you don't have a brakes as kind of a fallback. So I always found it very difficult when there was two riders together. I knew that the rider in front was obviously too focused on the rider in front of him, so I didn't want to kind of surprise them too much. So 3rd place. So 2013, I think at this point my niece would have been just under a year old when she came to see me, so she won't remember that. She won't remember that she came to see one of my Speedway meetings. Unless she's got a very good memory.
That back when I had it most of the way over. It's like you hanged it up and it was smooth, and then suddenly when you got to a certain point you started this, the whole thing started rattling. Good up, Bill.
So there's my Lucozade there. Got to have my Lucozade Sport. Keep my electrolytes up throughout the day.
I went the other. I did wanted to kind of get alongside, but I just couldn't get out of the corner.
Right, race 3. Are we going to have a full grid this time, or is it just going to be 2? No, full grid. Again, I raced against Billy in the first, in the last meeting. But again, I think in general I was probably a bit too lenient. There was times when I felt a lot more confident to kind of just stick one up the inside, and other times no, you know. So I kind of know that Billy was could be a bit kind of all over the place. So it may be a little bit wary, but again I've given myself far too much to do by dropping all the way back. And again, I've passed the guy ahead before. I know that I can beat him. So I was going for that outside line, it looked like, but generally I would pass in that bottom bend. I didn't really feel comfortable passing at the top bend, but made him go made him go wide. It was like I did like a fake up the inside like you would in sim racing, and ended up but I think in some of the skills that I'd learnt in sim racing, or some of the bad habits that I'd learnt in sim racing, I carried over to Speedway, which was target fixation is a thing. If you focus too much on the bike in front, you're just going to follow it. So if it goes wide, you're going to go wide. So you've got to ride the track and not the person in front. But it was very difficult not to, because you want to keep tabs on what's going on in front. Because if something happens to the rider in front, you want to be able to react to it. So it's like a half and half. So was that the third race of the day? Fourth race of the day?
in, it just every time you open it goes.
So I think I was having clutch problems at the end of this. So it was either that the clutch was coming loose, or it was bent or something, or so it was causing a lot of vibration. And I mean, with those bikes in general, you tend to feel every single bit of vibration. So this is my last ever race, my last ever event. And it happened to be Heat 50 as well. And again, didn't feel too confident with coming up the inside there. But I got some great footage in this last heat, because just look at the sun as well. Lens flare coming off the sun, and the colours of it, and that's my one of my good Speedway buddies ahead of me. He's riding a 4-valve upright machine, so it's his machine is like from the 1970s, 1980s. I think obviously that this is because it's a week between the last event and this event. I think I probably still had some problems with energy and body just giving up, because it was so hard, that last event, where my body just said no. So again, they're making all the mistakes in the world, they're going wide and everything, but I just cannot keep up. So I got third in that one because I think one person didn't score. I think you had a guest rider, but I still scored. So yeah. So my last ever competitive heat. Couldn't go nowhere.
I went throttle, Jeff's there, Jeff's there. And then I just kept going, right, I'm going to go that side round you. No, I'm going to go this. I came into that turn so fast. Hanging on to the thing, I just could not get any grip out of it. Maybe I need to put on some weight. No. Maybe I'm too light. Eh? Maybe I'm too light. Just keep on doing what you're doing. You feel like you're getting. Yeah. Sometimes it's getting a bit erratic. Like when I come into the turn, it's not like you speed up when you come out of the turn. It's more like when I turn, I'm actually slowing down because it comes across the dirt. I'm kind of, and that puts me off a little when it starts doing that. But I can feel like I can actually do something with it. Not as bad as last. Yeah. It's scary coming out of here several times. It was. That was really, really bumpy. And I think going into it, well, it feels like you're falling over like that. And all the after sort of fall over like that. What's the reason for it? It's like I go down the hole. Yeah, I didn't find it that bad. I think I was concentrating so much on what was ahead of me that everything else is just secondary. Yeah, well done. It's good that you keep coming. Well done. We weren't that far apart, all four of us. There's three of us together for most of that, so good footage. Yeah. Yeah, good. I reckon I did. I kept it slow, right? Have nil footage if they don't. Yeah. It would be interesting because Kieran ran the camera as well. No, I was third. Big Tony Raybold won that one. And then Kieran was second, I was third. Kieran's on my lap. One more lap, I'm very
One more lap and I would have had him. So 6 points. I don't know where I finished in the 10th. Hooray! I don't know how many people there were. But I didn't compete in one a heat, so...
Hello, Tony. Just couldn't get around it. Oh, that was energetic, though. You were, swanning off. Me, Kieran and Jeff having a good old...
Oh, yeah.
And I found that if I'm behind two people, I always go the way that someone else wants to go. I can't get around both of them at the same time, but I was hoping that someone would go wide and I could nip up the inside, but I just couldn't. I'd have it wide open, but I can't get the grip out of the corner. It just won't go. Whether or not I'm just too stupid just in case it takes off, or I don't want to sit down on the back.
Is the back wheel just spinning?
It feels like it, yeah, but I think I'm still up there. I'm still at the bar, so no wonder. I just don't have the confidence to go, now's the time to sit down, because then it's something might get out of control.
You bang your backside down as well.
I don't want to go down that hard. I'd rather just kind of gracefully slip off rather than kind of come straight off the back. Yeah. I'll take this back to the car.
So yeah. Kind of bittersweet, really. I think I knew at the time that I'd kind of come to the end of... I don't know if I knew at the end of 2013 that I wanted to... I think I knew I wanted to stop fundraising. Because the funds for the fundraising were just going down and down and down. I didn't feel like I could possibly go for a fourth year and still ask people to donate for what was technically the same cause. So I was well aware that I was maybe pushing my luck a little. And I think at that point I had to focus on money, health, job. So that's what led to that little kind of video where I basically said I was selling up. I forgot that I keep putting these little things at the end. I'll cut that bit out, I said. Yeah, I'll cut that bit out and put it at the end. Right. Okay. So that led me up to 2013. Unfortunately, it gets a bit I was going to say muddy here, but so at the end of 2013, my as I said, my niece and family came to see me at one of the last meetings of the year, plus my mum and dad, and So after my niece was born at the start of 2013, I learned that unfortunately my mum had contracted cancer, and she knew before my niece was born that she had what would be lung cancer, I think, but she didn't want to kind of tell anybody, because obviously it would have created more stress of my sister giving birth. So she waited until after she was born to let everybody know. So yeah. So after 2013, that may have been another reason why I kind of wanted to take a little bit of a break and focus on other things. So I took a break from Speedway in general, I think. But so as I said, my mum had lung cancer, which unfortunately spread, and unfortunately my mum passed away in part way through 2014. And as kind of luck or unluck would have it, I had just moved house, so I was kind of selling up all my equipment, and getting rid of all of my Speedway bits and bobs. I moved into my previous place that I used to live, that I basically moved out of last year, and I moved with what was my frame. I'd sold the engine, I'd sold all the other bits and bobs, but I just had the frame. So the plan was to maybe keep it, but I think I needed the money at the time, and I wasn't generally going to be going racing again, so I basically sold up everything. I think I kept most of my a lot of my my tools and stuff, because I was going to still use them for other stuff. So yeah, I just kind of completely went on a different tangent. So obviously went through a couple of years, and I got to the point where I maybe felt like I needed to get back into fundraising again. But this time it wasn't for anything to do with me specifically. I wanted to do fundraising for a cancer charity, because unfortunately, not only did I lose my mum in 2014, I also lost my uncle, and I lost a school friend of mine as well, all around about the same kind of couple of years. So I felt like I needed to do something to at least kind of, I don't know, do something in their memory, I suppose. So I had this bright idea. I don't know if it was a bright idea or a stupid idea. To do a fundraising thing, which wasn't just a case of give me money just because I go around a track over and over. I wanted to set myself a new challenge. So all the fundraising I'd done previously was just kind of raising awareness about scoliosis. That was all I did last time. But this was specifically for cancer research, and it was going to be like a personal challenge for me as well. So in 2016, I joined or took part in a meeting where I was doing some fundraising whilst an event was going on, but I was doing like fundraising rides. Now I was going to take part in 5 rides, right? 5 rides where each ride I would be riding on a completely different bike. So it just like happenstance it kind of made it so that it was 5 rides. So I was going to take part in riding on, or was it 6? Probably 6 actually. So I was going to be taking part and riding on a 500cc sidecar. I was going to be a passenger. I was going to be riding on a left-hand sidecar. So they basically go round the same way. So they both go anti-clockwise around the oval. I would then be taking part on what would be a what would you call it? It would be like a would it be a kind of a grass track speedway bike? But it would be a grass track speedway bike. I think it was a 2-valve speedway bike, which was a completely different style. So it wouldn't be kind of upright like I would have been riding. It was more kind of low down, with the handlebars completely different. So from the 1930s, 40s. So I'd be riding one of those. So that would be the third. Fourth ride, I'd be riding a 2-valve. Fifth ride, I'd be riding a 2-valve bike that would be from the 60s, 70s. Open pipe, gorgeous sounding bike. Fifth ride would be a 4-valve from my friend Jeff, which was from the 70s, 80s. And then my last ride would be on what would be a right-hand sidecar. So it would be the only time when I would actually go clockwise around the oval. All the other rides had always been going anti-clockwise. This is the first time that I'd gone clockwise around the oval. So took part in 6 rides, raised some money for cancer research, and this is how it went. Bit bright, but that's where we got to. So I changed the whole thing. It wasn't just Speedway for scoliosis now. It was Speedway for charity. So we were raising money for cancer research on the day. I love a bit of slow-mo footage. Stopped racing an amateur speedway whilst raising money and awareness for scoliosis at the end of 2002. The finances during that time, I never stopped thinking that I would get back on a bike someday. The opportunity started to take shape at the start of 2016 and began to plan what would be my biggest challenge yet. So I needed a hook, and this was it. Over the past few years, I had lost my mother, uncle, auntie and a friend to cancer. To raise funds for charity, I thought I would do something positive as well as setting myself a mental and physical challenge, helping to raise money and awareness to help fight this disease. One event, 6 different bikes. Not something I took lightly. I asked the owners of Weird and Wonderful Machinery that would be able to attend the annual Ivor Thomas Memorial on 10th July 2016. Citra and many riders were able to help with the fundraising challenge, and that's all of the bikes that I had just explained. So 6 rides, all different disciplines and different types of bikes. So I was loaned the machinery for the day. So I'd not been on a sidecar before either. So that was this is going to be a bit different. So I'd been riding my own bike for quite some time. This was the first time that I was going to be a passenger on something. So that's one of the bikes that I would be riding. So you've got some grass track machinery. So that one with the mudguard. I actually got someone to do some fly on the wall photography for this event. So you'll see that it's not me behind the camera. It's someone else. So that's me in my cancer gear. And it was a bit odd, kind of being a rider. There's me stretching my hamstrings. Bit weird, kind of not being next to a bike, really. So I was there, just doing my own thing. So that's the first bike that I'm going to be on, or the second bike I'm going to be on, rather. That's a left-hand sidecar. So that's my driver for the day. One of the drivers, anyway. So I'm basically asking, how in the hell am I going to do this? So he's just basically teaching me what to do. What to do. So again, very weird, just being around bikes, but not actually setting up my own bike this time. So I would be on something like that as well. So I would be on the sidecar where the white helmet guy is on. That's my friend Gavin. So again, and this was like right-hand sidecars. So again, I would be the one hanging off the side there. So it was all very nerve-wracking. I mean, usually I'd be in that orange jersey type. But this time I was just raising money on my own. Not racing, not doing anything like that, just kind of in between the heats.
All sidecar disciplines, raising funds for cancer research this afternoon. There's a page of all about his exploits, page number 3 in today's programme.
There you go, so the commentator was just explaining what I was doing and why I was there. I wouldn't be taking part in any of the races per se. It would just be like demonstration rides, but it was still nerve-wracking because I'd be sitting on machinery that I'd never driven, never ridden on the side of. So the first challenge was 500cc sidecar. So I'd be on the side of what was 500cc sidecar. That basically a grass track machine, not really a speedway machine. So it was now my turn. So stretching out. I have very, very tight hamstrings. Need all the hamstrings I could get. So that's the bike ahead, number 11. That I'm going to be bending over the back. So I'm literally going to be leaning over the back of it on that fairing. Not the most comfortable of rides, but this was my first torture machine of the day. It's exactly right. It was pretty much torture. You're using muscles that I never would have been using when I would be riding on a solo. So, and in my kind of so completely different. So I'm kind of hunkered down on this machine, holding on to the bars, with someone else push starting it. I was basically there to just weigh it down. So we then had to get it in gear. Because it's got 2 gears, one for starting. We're not in first gear. and then flicks it into second gear as we get going. And as you can see, it's very difficult to get over the side of it. Come up the straight, sit into the chair, go into the corner and bend yourself over as far as possible to take the weight off the back wheel, and then get into the chair again to put weight on the back wheel again. I was always scared that I wasn't able to sit up, but the momentum of the bike coming out of the corner, it forces you up out of the seat, but I just wasn't able to get down as low as some of the other guys do. So it was so difficult just leaning over. Because obviously I have trouble with core strength. So the bending over was very difficult. And I mean, he was taking it easy on me. He probably would have gone faster if I wasn't in the chair, to be honest. But it was first ride of the day and my legs were already burning, which wasn't a good sign. And I had 5 rides to go. So there you go. First ride over with. Stumbling off that sidecar. My legs were killing me. So painful. Just needed to take a breather. It was weird how much it took out of you. Or it took out of me in general, really. Basically said, I'm out next. I'm out next? What? Straight onto the what is a left-hand cycle. It's not a, I wouldn't say a proper left-hand cycle. It's a 500cc sidecar that's been converted into a left-hand sidecar. So that the one that I was just on has the sidecar part on the right-hand side. This is the same kind of chassis, but it has the chair part on the inside. So the 500cc sidecar is on the right. The left-hand sidecar has the chair on the left. But it's basically the same chassis. So I think it was a 500cc. They're usually 1,000. But so it's quite a unique piece of machinery for this one. So after a short break, a very, very short break, I was back on the machine. So lots of weird and wonderful machinery, like grass track machines and isn't it the 500cc sidecar going out? So he's showing me what I should be doing, where I should be putting my feet. So slipping off the side when you're coming out the corner and then get up on the chair. That's what you want to be doing. Switch my hamstrings again. It's so easy for the my body in general would have like a reaction. It would suddenly just tighten up, so I'd have to keep loosening myself up. Otherwise, the body would just tighten up, and getting slightly nervous. So again, this one needs push started. So this is pretty much kind of the same engine as a solo bike as I'd been riding, but it's just been put in a sidecar frame. So same kind of power, but just a different way of riding. So hanging off the side to weigh the thing down because it wants to pull over the top. So he's taking it very easy on me because this is my first or second time going around. And obviously the lower I can get, the more weight I can put over that wheel, so the faster he can go, because the weight is over the left-hand side part of the frame. But I'm I felt like my arms are just not long enough. So you see when he opens the throttle, it kind of pushes me up out of the, onto the seat. So he can actually probably feel in the how much he can push for how much weight is over the left wheel. So you see he's keeping an eye on me just to make sure that I'm comfortable. But it's pulling so much on my arms. My arms are probably burning by now. And when I'm going around, I feel like I'm going in a million miles an hour, but it's not a lot. But I mean, if he's confident that he can go a certain speed, but I'm not bent over the chair enough, it could obviously lead to that wheel coming up, and obviously bad things happen when it's not balanced. So two of probably the hardest rides at the start of the meeting. I mean, it didn't look like much, but you're pushing so much with your legs that I just got my legs were burning, absolutely burning. But it's obviously something I'd never done before. He was saying that I was next going out on the number 46, but he was joking. Thankfully, my legs were wobbling. So that machine, that number 13, that's the next machine I'm going to be going out on. And obviously at this point, I'm technically not like race fit either. So it was a bit kind of weird doing these things. When I wasn't in the condition to, but it's like when you're riding continuously, you get race fit. You're loosened up a bit more. So now I'm on a 1930s Solo. Completely different style of bike that I've ever ridden. So first time I'd actually put on a steel shoe this meeting. Because I'm riding a Solo. And my fingers just would not play ball. So I'd obviously, at this point, 3 years out Last ride was October 2013. So my body was not used to doing anything like this at all. So I basically kept my goggles on so I could get footage. So that's my machine. 1930s Rudge Grassat Solo. So you see that it's completely different to anything that I'd ridden before. All the other machines are a completely different style, completely different riding style, I suppose. So getting on someone else's bike, the first thing is it's going to feel really, really strange. It's like wearing someone else's pair of shoes. But the other thing is, you don't want to break it because it's someone else's pride and joy. So it was nerve-wracking, very nerve-wracking. And I think, you know, all my nervousness, I think I accidentally turned my camera off. So I think that's a roof there. I think it's the only time where I didn't get helmet camera footage of a ride, because I was so bloody nervous that I probably thought that I hadn't actually turned it on. So it's amazing what nervousness does to you. I'd competed and done like 5 rides at a meeting, and even though it was difficult, and I suppose having such a time out between these things, so 3 years, and then suddenly setting myself this kind of challenge. Again, this is completely out of my comfort zone. So a Rudge grass track bike. So you see that it's more laid down than normal. So I didn't really completely different geometry than what I'm used to. Completely different engine. I think it's probably a Jap 2-valve machine. Thinner tyres. That was the style back then. But I mean, it sounded awesome. It's just got completely different suspension geometry to anything that's in the modern era. And again, I wasn't kind of pushing it. It wasn't like I was going, oh, I want to, you know, do big slides or anything. It was more that I want to get back in one piece because I know that I've got more rides in the day that are going to be completely different challenges. So it started off with both the two most difficult, which was the 2 sidecars, and then on to solo machining, which I'm more used to going this way round, and actually riding. Because I mean, being in control of the bike that you're on makes a lot of difference. And even these 4 laps, it was like I could feel like I could open up the throttle a bit more. But completely different feeling. You know, I didn't feel like I was going to get the back end out or anything. But it was more like survival for the day. Pacing myself was... So nodding the cameraman for the day. My fly on the wall. So that was probably it was like a relaxing ride on a sofa because it was all nicely sprung. Probably didn't stop my body tightening up, but yeah. So the next one, we're on 2-valve machinery. So 4th ride of the day. So again, this is probably closer to what I've ridden before, but again, similar engine to the machine that I was just on. But so 2 valve 500cc. So that's Steve in the red bib that I was borrowing it from on the day. So he had completely different feeling of the throttle. He had so much play in the throttle as well, which I wasn't used to. I don't know what he said then. I said no to it, but whatever it was. So I couldn't quite get it started. So I let the rider do it. Now, see if you can spot a mistake. Fell down a hole. There was a hole in the ground. So it wasn't just me. Older machines take a little bit more pushing. She's alive! Awesome sounding machine though. Here we go. Much better. So I think... Off we go! It was a bit nippy off the start than I was thinking. So this is obviously, it's getting more used to the bikes that I would have ridden. But this machine was noisier, not necessarily more powerful, different power delivery. It was just so beautiful sounding. The older 2-valve machine. So I was using the same kind of techniques that I'd learned over the last few years, making sure I didn't sit back on the machine too much, getting my leg out. But again, riding someone else's bike is not always ideal because you're wearing someone else's shoe basically. It's not ideal. Not ideal at all. So I think I decided to be a bit cheeky here. So because I was doing fundraising, I was like trying to encourage donations. Pointing at my jersey saying, look, this is what I'm doing it all for. Sense of accomplishment. Sense of absolute accomplishment. Riding a beast that I'd never ridden before. Beautiful bike. I was just hoping I didn't break it. So I was just explaining to him. I was just explaining to him about the play in his throttle, having a bit of a giggle about that, because it was so much. It was like having a dead zone at the start of the throttle. It's like there's nothing, 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 nothing. Power. So, fourth ride of the day. So I think I was still working, at that point. So I knew that I probably had to still actually go to work the next day. I don't know how I did it. In fact, if I was teaching, I probably was. I was probably at college on Monday. Right, next challenge. So now we've basically gone in order of solos. It's been in order of age. So we're now up to the 70s and 80s. Up it goes. So that's my cameraman for the day. Still stretching. I mean, this is no longer than any of the meetings that I would have done previously, but it's just using all different muscles. And such a break in riding these bikes, and I just was not fit, or fit as I was when I was actually riding regularly. But this is I'd known Jeff since I started riding, and this is actually the first. I think he'd always said, "I want you to ride my bike. I want you to try my bike out and see what it's like." And this is the first time I got to do it. He would always say to me, "You're always very smooth in the way I ride," which again I didn't tend to want to get anything out of shape. But this is a 4-valve, sounds a lot smoother. So that's Paul Harry, an ex-pro Speedway rider from the South End, South. Quite famous in these Speedway circles, literally Speedway circles. Thumbs up and away we go. So this felt a lot more comfortable. It would have been like a bike style of bike that I'd ridden before. So this is still an upright machine. Now, when I say upright, it means the engine is upright, physically upright. The bikes that I would have ridden before, the engine is pushed forwards at an angle, so the center of gravity is a little bit different. So it felt a lot smoother than the other ones. The power delivery was a lot softer. Felt like I was kind of more at home. It didn't feel like it was gonna throw me off. But I mean, fourth ride, and I was already hurting after the first two. So this is was a lot of like mind over matter stuff. So you see, I'm already dragging my leg. I'm already tired. Everything, my body was just saying, "You can't do this. What are you doing?" Couldn't pull myself up to the bars. So I was asking of my body more than it was willing to give me. But at this point, I kind of knew that this was technically the last solo ride I'd do of the day, and I knew I had one more. Now, thankfully, you can see the handlebars are a bit bent there. Thankfully, I did get to do a practice day on the sidecars before the event, so I kind of knew what to expect, but it didn't make it any easier. So I think a week or two before, when I was arranging with the organisers that I was going to do this type of fundraising, and I think as well, this obviously I'm wearing a camera that's on the top of my helmet rather than on the side of my helmet. So you see it's right on the top there. Right on the top of the thing. So last ride of the day on a right hand sidecar. This is the first time I'd ever been, well, technically the second time I've ever been this way round on this circuit. So we're going clockwise now. So this is a right hand sidecar, technically a what's called a grass track machine. So it's not a speedway machine. So in all my nervousness, I forgot something. What have I forgot? What have I forgot? So this is 1000cc. So double the power of anything I'd ever been on. So this actually has a... Oh! Forgot my steel shoe. I've been riding solos all day. And forgot to take my steel shoe off. My fingers just didn't work. When he starts to turn my leg, get your leg over. Yep, okay. So we've got someone on track to chase. Now it felt like I was going so low, but when you look at the footage, I don't get down that low. I think I was maybe scared that I wasn't going to get back up. I mean, I felt like I was getting more confident as it went on, but the left leg technically needs to be dangling in the air. But it just felt like I was going a million miles an hour. So you basically you're dropping down, and then trying to find the bar next to the driver's leg to hang on to. And I mean, I was grabbing on with my left leg, but you didn't really need to because you were hanging on to one of the bars with your left arm. But there was the fear of going down too low and not feeling like I could get back up again. So, I mean, the amount of relief that I had after doing all of those rides, it was like, that was the last one. It was like, I'd done it. Finally, I'd done it. We planned all of it. Got it done. Not many people left. They're all in the cafeteria. There's my videographer.
Right, it was the last lap. He lurched forward so much I went, ah! I got down as low as I could. Feet was dangling in the air. You know, that was the most comfortable ride today. The rest were torture, that was comfortable.
Well done. Done well today, well done.
How was that, Neil? That was an experience. Good. Well done. We were lurching.
I don't know how people do it, to be honest. I really don't. But my body was just saying no. I chose this song specifically for this the end of this video.
I wrote this novel just for you. It sounds pretentious, but it's true. I wrote this novel just for you. That's why it's vulgar. That's why it's blue. And I say thank you. I say thank you. I wrote this novel just for Mom, for all the mommy things she's done, for all the times she showed me wrong, for all the times she sang God's song. And I say thank you, Mom. Hello, Mom. Thank you, Mom. Hi, Mom.
Yeah, I thought that was fitting. Just in the song words of that song. I mean, I'm probably going to get a copyright strike for that, but screw it. Screw it! Never mind. Never mind. Okay, so that's taken me up to what was 2016. So I'd moved into a new flat at that point, and then I don't know when I decided, but guess what I did in 2017? I bought another bike. I guess maybe I was more in a more comfortable place. It was like, right, I can now feel like I can get back on a solo bike again. I now have the space. I now have the ability to, I lived in the flat that I was at when I was competing in amateur speedway. The get in and the get out of it it was tight to get the bike in and out. So yeah, it wasn't great. So I'd moved into a place which it was more more user friendly, I suppose, to get in and out. Just checking out the next part. So I've now actually invested in a different camera as well. And I'd actually found that because I'd invested in a new, more expensive camera, I had it had like a GPS, not a GPS tracker, but the ability to do what would you call it? You could do like a simple telemetry, so you could actually gauge speed. So that's what I did with this time around. So 2017. So I did one practice session. Again, I'm not going to show you the practice session. But I did another ride in 2017. So I wasn't competing at this point. I was basically just doing practice sessions. So you're basically racing against yourself. And again, that has its downsides of, you're not really pushing yourself. It is just you and your own brain of how far you want to push it, and you're not kind of chasing anybody. So there is that. So at this point in 2017, my own bike. This is my second outing on my own bike. Bought a similar machinery to what I had before. I still got this machine, but it's not in the flat that I'm at the moment. I do still have this machinery, but this is basically what happened at my second practice session. So this is 22nd of October, so it's bloody cold, bloody windy. So again, probably not race fit. It used to give me last ride 2017, so I wanted to go out with a bang, so to speak. Familiar pains and struggles, but increased sense of well-being doing something outside of my comfort zone. My goal was to make progress, increase my body confidence and bike control while staying in one piece. How did I get on? Keep watching to find out. So, I mean, it's normally windy and a bit rainy down there, so you can see bottom left-hand corner. It's actually a Speedway because it's got a GPS. I mean, it was good to get on my own bike again, but it's good to kind of see you don't have a speedometer on these bikes or anything, so at least you can see what was the speed you got up to. So it looked like I was up to about 50 kph there. '60s, 64 kph. Track is quite soft. Still 64 kph. I mean, I can't see this telemetry when I'm riding around, of course. This is what comes out of the camera. So more expensive. The camera cost me an absolute bloody fortune. But it was kind of like an evolution on the previous camera that I had. The previous camera that I had had a removable battery. This one was a bit more expensive, it didn't have a removable battery, but it had inbuilt GPS. So going back to what I know with the starts and the first turns from the practice that I'd done in 2013 or whenever that was. So basically, using all of the tools that I'd been taught. So you can see the two lines that I've put down there. So you've got like a reference of where you should be turning the bike. Because it went well, you know, you put in your own head, it went well the two first times you did it. So, and you just follow those. It's like following the rubber line on a racetrack. Because it's so easy to get in your own head. You've got to use every kind of tool to kind of convince yourself, right, just build on it, just keep going, keep going, keep going. I think the microphone was a little bit different as well. The camera that I bought does have the facility to plug an external camera in there, external microphone. So it does sound a lot more muffled than my previous camera for some reason. I mean, it's a more expensive camera, but the sound quality doesn't seem like it's as good. Because I think I can't remember whether it was on the top. I think it's on the top of my helmet. Otherwise, you'd probably see the peak. So thinking the things I learnt on my first ride. Just need to put them into action. So what I was basically doing was pushing myself every time I went out. Now I'd use a reference on the boards because you would kind of start up quite close to the turn. So you would do a start and then get the back wheel spinning and then lean it to the turn to try and keep the spin, keep the momentum all the way around. And then you would eventually kind of keep moving yourself backwards towards the middle of the straight, so that you can then do a standing start from what is half a straight away. So you're carrying maybe more speed into the turn. It's quite easy to start from the entry of the turn and just lean it over and get the thing spinning. But the further back you go, the more committed you have to be, because you've got more time to think. You've got more time to kind of say shut off, shut off, shut off, shut off. So you see the reference points I've got there. You can definitely see where my back wheel has been before. So the back wheel was basically in line, and then suddenly when I lean over, it comes out. I mean, you're always looking for reference points of, you know, when do I get to the point of no return? When is it that I should be shutting off the throttle? I mean, you probably know in your body that everything in your body probably says, right, things are going to happen. But every time you're kind of you using your previous reference and saying, well, that was safe last time, let's keep going. But the hardest part is actually turning at speed. It's all right starting from 0 and going to 60. but it's turning at speed. So you're having the throttle open and keeping going, and then leaning the bike over. I mean, all you're going to be doing is slowing down because you're losing grip. But it's the whole coming into the turn as fast as possible. So coming into the turn faster and faster and faster to kind of give yourself confidence to do that lap after lap after lap. So rather than go from 0 to whatever on a lap, you should be able to, in the end, build a whole lap together. That's what I was trying to be able to do. I mean, I don't know if you need to be brave to do this or stupid. Maybe a bit of both. I mean, it would be pretty cool to have like an external camera. But I mean, it was like, again, mind over matter kind of thing. Everything in my body was screaming, "You're doing the wrong thing. Your body's not. Your body is saying, no, this is wrong. You shouldn't be doing this. You're gonna hurt yourself." And in some respects, obviously, yeah, because it's dangerous. But yeah. It all went a bit wrong.
You alright, mate? Yeah. Yeah. Alright. You alright? Alright, there's a camera over. Still breathing, that's a good thing.
Alright. Paramedics just coming.
Took a little bit of a tumble.
Take it off, mate. No. You see the smile in his face. Yeah, he wants it something like that. Look, he can't be that bad. Look, he's turned his camera to face him.
I wanted evidence.
Yeah? Can you wiggle the fingers alright? Both ends?
How about your feet? Feet alright?
Try your toes. Can you do your toes? In your boots? My toes, yeah.
So, the things I remember are that
Hello? Oh, yeah.
you don't want to move because you're scared of.
Left knee. Left knee. Okay. On the back of my head. On the back of your head. Are you unconscious at all? Don't think so. Don't think so. So remember everything that's happening. Just pop these off you. Okay. Can you straighten it?
Because you're very conscious that you don't want to make it worse by moving. So I stayed down.
So, what we're going to try and do, what's your name? Neil. Neil. What we're going to try and do, Neil, is bring you onto your back so we can have a look at this knee. Now, if the pain gets too bad, then you can let me know, alright? Yep. Okay. Over we go. There we go. Now we can take this off you if you want. Wait a bit more. Right, where's the pain in your knee? Is it actually at the knee or below or above?
On the outside or the inside? Knock it back up.
There we go.
But this is basically all in real time.
Side of your knee. Sit here.
So you see how quickly they got to me once I'd come off. So,
The other side.
but I was fully conscious.
Where I'm pushing here.
It doesn't make it worse. I'll leave that for a sec.
So I think I do have photographs. I can't remember if I actually put them in this video.
Could you wiggle
Of-
your toes? Can you move your foot? Could you try bending your leg, your left leg?
Is that right?
Yeah. Right. You can try and bend it. How's that?
All okay? Yeah?
Yep. Okay.
And straighten again.
Okay?
All good?
So obviously we were just checking that my leg was not broken.
Okay.
Is that all okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we try and get you up on your good leg, get you in the standing position, we'll see how you are then, and then obviously we can get you off and get that looked at properly. Off the tip. Okay. Yeah, lovely. Okay. Bring yourself up into the sitting position. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Is that hurting?
Lower back. Lower back. Okay. Well, I have problems with the lower back anyway. Okay. Bend this one, bring it into the upright. And then what we want you to do is to put most of your weight into this ankle. Alright? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Go. Okay.
So I can't remember what I think it was the left leg. So I could actually put weight on it.
Weight down on it. That's fine. Okay. Get you off there and have a good look at that one. Yeah.
Thank you.
Alright. Yeah, that's a good sign. So did you land on it? Did you come off or?
It kind of bent under the bike and then it kind of went out again. It was like
Well, it's a good sign you're actually walking on it quite.
Because I mean, I think I came into the bend and I saw that I was going wide, and I was like, well, I could either keep the throttle wide open, so that's where the back of my head hit the track. So I decided to lay the bike down before it hit the track, but when I laid the bike down, I expected to skid across the track, but in fact, my body digged in and it just threw me over. So you'll see that there's a camera that's supposed to be on the top of my head there, but it actually snapped off the mount at the top. So I actually did a backwards roll and landed on my front. So instead of kind of sliding off and just kind of coming to a halt, which is what I aimed to do. So there you go, there's a snapped helmet camera mount. What I aimed to do, I hope to kind of just slide to slide to a halt. But I couldn't actually get in the ambulance because my leg was too tight. So I don't know why I've not put the next video up there. That's a bit strange. My leg was now, or my knee was now swelling up, so I couldn't actually bend it to get into to actually lift it up to get in the ambulance, because obviously I couldn't put a lot of weight on my leg to use my other leg to get up there. So I think I couldn't actually bend it. They actually had to put me in the back of the ambulance. So I had to get onto the ramp thing, and they actually had to get me into the ambulance. So in the end, after all that was actually the biggest accident I'd ever had. I mean, I'd come off the back of a bike, but that's actually probably the biggest accident that I'd had riding a bike in all that time that I'd been. I mean, all those years ago, 2007, I'd only been riding for on and off in those 10 years, with a 3-year break somewhere in between. So biggest accident I'd ever had, and yeah, pretty scary, because it was like I did wonder whether I'd done permanent damage, but I think it was my left leg. But generally, I don't think I have problems with my left knee. I do have problems with my right leg, but that's probably due to other things. But I don't think I've got any lasting effects. But basically, for the rest of the day, I think I only had 3 rides out of that, and I came off on my 3rd. So I basically I had for the rest of the day, I had an ice pack on my knee to take down the swelling, and it was very difficult to put away my bike at the end of the meeting because I could not bend down. And as I said in that video, I'm very lucky that I had booked the day off work the next day. So lucky, I suppose. So after documenting that and making it seem all dramatic and what have you, I made a video which I think I'd always wanted to. I'd always wanted to do a video of, well, whatever video I did, I wanted to use this song for it. And I think what I might do, I might go to my DMCA free scene, because I think this one in general may give me a copyright strike. So I want to. Fortunately, the lamps are a bit low, but this is the last video I'm going to show you today. In fact, this is the last video I'm going to show you in general of this entire series. So we went through everything to do with my sim racing, everything to do with what happened in going into sim racing broadcasting, and then starting Speedway, and then fundraising, and then back into Speedway again. And obviously this leads up to 2017. So what you will see from the next video is like a review of what went before and what happened next. So I will let this one run. And I say it's a song that I wanted to put on the video for the longest time, because I love this song. Has quite a special meaning for me. So it just happenstance. And as I say, the videos that I wanted to do weren't just to document what I was doing. It was more to say to other people, look what I'm doing, you can do it too. So everything that I did, I always say, never give up. # never give up. So whatever you do, never give up. That's my motto. Right, so let's watch this next one. So yeah, that's my journey. All from a sim racing noob to a speedway noob. But I'd wanted to kind of put that song to something because it has so much feeling behind it. and I thought it to kind of, you know, and I was a little bit clickbaity with that video. It is the last video on that channel. You know, the thumbnail basically has a picture of me lying on the floor, and it says thinking about giving up. But it was obviously clickbaity. It was to say the complete opposite. Don't. I mean, there was much more to the practice session in 2018 where I kind of faced the fear of doing the exact same thing and not coming off. So yeah. Pleased I did it. Sense of achievement, accomplishment, all of those adjectives that you can think of. It's, I don't know, it did it for Cherry, did it for me, just, you know, it's something that I felt I had to do to maybe I don't know, prove to myself. I think it was mainly for myself, proving to myself that I could do it, and then showing everybody else that more is possible. You know, it's very easy for your brain to tell your body that you say can't do this, can't do that. I mean, it's you know, I'm very lucky that the problems that I've got physically, it could be much worse. I mean, I do think of myself very lucky in that respect, that all of the things that are wrong with my body, they could be much, much worse. I don't know if lucky is the right word, to be perfectly honest, but I do feel that way. I feel that you know, when I went into to have surgery back in 2004, I mean, I scared my mum, because I basically prepared for the worst. When I went in there, I basically said, you know, this is what you do in case I don't come out the way that I went in. This is what I want you to do. And that really kind of shook my mum. Kind of was like, you know, okay, he might not come out the way that he went in. Because it was a big risk taking back surgery, but it was my only choice at that point. I'd come to the end of all of my other well, they weren't solutions, let's be perfectly honest. There was no other solutions. So I had to go for it. Took the risk. I didn't make my problem any better, but I didn't make my problem any worse. But I always knew that the problem that I had is degenerative. That it's a case of that it's something that it's going to be permanent, even though benefit services and whoever you ask for help from, the word permanent never seems to ring true for them. So whenever you say I've got a permanent disability or a permanent problem, they will say update us in whenever, to tell us that your permanent problem is still the same as a permanent problem. I mean, the permanent problem is always, unless there's a miraculous cure, which there isn't, then I'm going to be like this for the rest of my life. So the problems, it messes with your brain because you go through the stages of grief. That the problems that you've got are not necessarily caused by yourself. It was just you were born that way, so it's not like I could blame an accident of the problems that I've got. I just had a problem with my spine as I grew up, And it was just it just happened to be that way. So you go through the stages of grief, kind of back and forth, bargaining, and acceptance, bargaining, acceptance, bargaining, acceptance. I go back and forth between those, and I don't think I'm ever going to get to fully accepting what I've got, because I still wake up on a day and say, well, I could. I'm feeling better today. Am I cured? No. No, it doesn't work like that. Have I suddenly has my permanent health condition suddenly disappeared? No, it's not. But you always fool yourself in thinking that it's going to change. But as soon as you come to realise that you've got this permanently, and you don't. I mean, I rallied against my physical limitations for so long, and it's, for me, and I don't know if this works for anybody else, but for me personally, it wasn't going to change anything. So I was basically wasting my energy saying, surely there's a cure, surely there's something I can do, da 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 da. But in the end, you've just got to work with what you've got. Know your limitations, know that you've got a certain amount of stamina, know that if you're going to do something completely out of your comfort zone, or completely you're going to be stretching yourself physically, know that you're going to have to have some downtime after that. So that's taken a bit of getting used to, and obviously the threshold for physical activity is slowly going down and down and down. Obviously, as I get older, I'm now 45, so going to the next, trying to kind of change your perspective on what on what your limitations are, because it's always going to change. And I mean, I think I looked back at the time that I did those things where I pushed myself and said to my body, no, I want to do these things, and screw anything else. I know there's a risk, but I want to do this because I know that I won't be able to do it later. Because I know for a fact that I could probably get on a bike now. I could not do the stuff that I did back then. And we're talking when I finished in 2018, how long ago is that? That's 7 years ago. I mean, I don't think I could physically do it. I don't know. Really don't know. And the funny thing was, in 2020, I think it was, at the start of 2020, I decided, maybe I should get going on a bike again. It's been a couple of years, so I'm going to start practicing. So in 2020, I bought a 250. So I bought an engine which is 250, so which is half the capacity of a 500. So I kind of thought, well, I'm not as physically capable as I am or was, so let's go half the capacity. So I bought another engine. I've never ridden it because I bought it at the start of 2020, and then we had 2020, 2021, 2022. Everything shut down, and then I never got the opportunity to ride it, which is a shame. So I've basically got an engine which is now sitting out of the bike because we had to take it apart when I moved. But I don't know. If the opportunity comes up, maybe not. But I know I'm more. I'm not going to say incapable, but I know I've got more physical limitations now. But yeah. So that's my journey. That's my sim racing journey. That's my speedway journey. Hopefully, it's given you a bit of insight into what I've done what I've put myself through over these past few years. But thank you for watching. It's Sunday. I may be streaming midweek next week. I can't think that I'm going to be doing anything particularly energetic. Maybe do some gaming next week. I've still got 2 weeks until I start up broadcasting again. So the second. Excuse me. I have actually reserved a Saturday date for a stream because I wanted to do something particularly on the 8th of March, and I didn't know where I wanted it to be a fundraising stream, but I'm leaving it a bit late now, so I'm wondering. I'll maybe figure that out. So if all else fails, I'll be online on Saturday and Sunday again, and maybe we'll get back to some sim racing. But we'll have to see whether there's any kind of new stuff, new news, new games to look at. We'll see. And I'm back to broadcasting on the 16th of March, which is the Porsche 935 USA Cup, which is round 5. So I believe we are going to been to Laguna Seca. I don't know where we're going now. Been to Road America. I know we're doing one at Long Beach. And the other one, I can't remember. The next round. Let's double check. So in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be going to... where are we? So it's Road Atlanta. So that should be fun. So apparently we should have over 10 entrants. So I'm hoping it goes out with a bang, really, because it's been quite a good season. And I'm quite enjoying the broadcasting, even though it's completely out of my comfort zone. Talking to myself, trying to explain stuff and getting tongue-tied and having to pronounce all these weird names and stuff. So Road Atlanta round 5, and then Sebring is round 6. So how these Porsche 935s deal with the bumps, I don't know. But I don't think is anyone streaming at this point? I don't think they are. Ben's probably streaming a bit later on with his Grand Prix, but I don't think he's ready yet. He's probably having dinner. So let's... What if I can do... that's the wrong keyboard. It doesn't help. Let's see if I can actually do... So Ben's probably going to be streaming in a little while. He's going to be doing his 1984 season. So check out Ben. And if I don't see you midweek, I'll see you next weekend. Fingers crossed I can get the fundraising stream sorted. If not, it might just be a supportive stream. I can't. There's problems with who I might be trying to fundraise for. But we'll get to that when we get to it, and I'll post on social media and stuff when I can. There you go. You can look at my social medias and so I'm normally post on social media when I'm about to stream. So yeah, thank you for watching what is a very difficult thing to explain. Kind of glad that I did in some respects. Now I'm going to crawl into a ball and go cry and go and have some dinner. I've got a donut that's been sitting on my table for a little while and I haven't eaten it, so that's bad. So thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you for the support. And I'll see you later on.